Good morning, Warriors! Back with another episode with Warriors, Vigor Warriors 2, and the 1% Club. Hope you guys are doing well. Wanted to kind of do one this morning before I headed out, and hope you guys are on your purpose. Hope you guys are on your plans. Continue to move forward. Continue not to give up. Whether you are having a setback or not, keep moving forward, my friends. Keep moving forward, Warriors. I know I've been there for many, many years, and it's good to continue to move forward and never give up the idea of what you're trying to accomplish, and that's the being excellent for your Lord and God, and being excellent all around as an individual, as a person, spiritually, mentally, and physically. All right, so a bunch of shout outs. Again, you guys are just making tremendous comments. It is hard for me to catch up. I'm trying to do that as I go along, so I'll probably this weekend go back and jot a bunch of notes from you guys, or shout outs and things like that. Jerry Herrera, thank you, my friend. Burning Phoenix, Spiritual Path, you are right about that. This is kind of what we're on. We're really talking about the spiritual essence of the person you are, and trying to bring that up more and more and more. Now, it kind of comes out in the physical equivalent, which is kind of obviously when it comes to retention and things like that. But the spiritual path you are on, that's what really matters. That's what this all comes from. We kind of focus on this area of retention a little bit more because this is a problem for a lot of young people. And I've seen that for years. Struggling with the idea of what's the relationship between this seed you have and life. And obviously, if you're giving your seed to procreate, that's one thing. But if you're not doing that, well, then what is the purpose of what you're doing? And I think we have to kind of concentrate on that. So anyway, Burning Phoenix, thank you, my friend. Soul Connected, got the second book of Kelder. The Kelders, they got a couple different books. Other people have actually commented and updated Kelder stuff a little bit, and actually did some scientific research behind it. I think it's Bernie Siegel. I'm not sure exactly, remember if that's who it is or not. But the second book is very good as well. It gives you some practical types of things. Actually talk about the Fountain of Youth and how to add to it, and really significant research that indicated how accurate this is. And I've been using this since 1998. And if I look younger than 62, then that's probably worked. Okay, or 61. It'll be 62 in June, so we'll come pretty close. JD, don't give up, my friend. Loneliness, those things happen. Those things happen to all of us inside. But remember, you're building from within. The closer you get to God, the less lonely I feel people are. The less you have to worry about the material things. See, loneliness comes from a lot of material needs and wants. If you start limiting those back a little bit, you'll find you don't need people, and you don't need necessarily things all the time. Of course, things are good and people are good at times, of course. But not to depend on those things will always bring you down to that level of depression and loneliness if you don't always have it. And all of us, it's hard to have it 24 hours, 7 days a week. All right, True Self, Lucid Mizani, support, yes. Appreciate support. Thank you, my friend. I appreciate the support. Nice comments, Lucid. It's amazing to me how much support you guys give me. I'm just totally blessed, and I feel tremendous about that. And Digital Sandbox, yes, you're right. Most of the time when I'm at home, I get better quality in the videos. I just try to get one out, because if I don't do it, I'm on the road, all day long. It's very difficult to kind of get one out, so that's why I try to do it. But yes, you're right. We got to get better quality on some of these. So, all right. Anyway, and Optical Man, Antonio Nunez, and Orca, thank you guys for your comments, and I appreciate those. All right. So now at 4:20, which we'll have to write this in our notes here, because I'm always trying to remember to put down the tag of when I start, because some people want me to bypass. They want to bypass the shout outs, and that's okay. So at 4:20 here, we're talking about how to be disciplined. How to be disciplined under Semen Retention. So, Peaceful Being and Jermaine Landra, thank you guys for your comments. A shout out to you guys on this topic. Let's talk about being disciplined a little bit, because I believe that one of the things that I did not realize is that I was not very disciplined. I know I had learned some discipline types of things throughout my life, but I really wasn't that disciplined when it came to actually doing things and getting things completed and always staying on the path. I'd always fall back, and obviously retention was one of those things because I had 40 some years, of going back and forth. And so the thing is that being disciplined takes a lot of internal types of discussions. I call that intrapersonal communication. Within, you are talking within, and how to control that comes from a relationship, I believe, with your Lord. And obviously, the more you're with your Lord, the more you're going to follow certain things, whether you're following in the Quran, whether you're following ideas in the Bible, the Ten Commandments, all those things you follow because you're internally recognizing this is the way life should be. So this becomes a life decision, and that's why it's not easy to be disciplined. It's not easy to say, okay, I'm not going to eat that food. It's not easy to say, I'm going to go work out or take a cold shower every morning. Those things take discipline. And part of that discipline is your spiritual discipline. There's one thing that I wrote down when I listened to a pastor the other day talking. It's called spiritual maturity. And this is in 1 Timothy 4, I believe, in the Bible. Spiritual maturity is the ability for a person to be able to understand and recognize that life is not just the physical things in front of you. Life is not just the woman sitting in front of you because she looks attractive. Woman is it's not the money in front of you that you can buy things and somehow be successful, be happy because of the money or the fancy car you have or the house. Those things are all nice to have, and I've had those over the years, and lots of people I know have had those things over the years. But the interesting thing to me is that people who are really very wealthy, and I'm not talking about just not the physical wealth of things, but the internal wealth of things, they don't show it. They never show it. Why should they show it, right? Think about that for a second. They don't need to boast. They know they've succeeded. They know they've done the best they could. They know that God has blessed them. Why show that? See, the thing is, my friends, when you sit there and have people who have to boast, that's really an insecurity. And that's where I was many, many years ago, trying to boast about this and boast about that. And once you get with God and once you understand the relationship you have with the Lord, then you don't need to boast. You've had that right there. So as long as you have that, there's no need to try to make yourself, feel better than other people or try to put other people down, and I know some people do that. They call that like one-upsmanship. They try to put somebody else down in public while making themselves look better. All those things are insecurities to show that you do not have that relationship with God. And I think that's where the spiritual maturity comes from. And so there's several qualities, and I think this is actually in Ephesians, of spiritual maturity. So it's humble, right? Being gentle, patience, right? Love, and forbearing. And when you look at these ideas, you're really talking about a person who learns that they are not the center of the universe. And this is why it's important to shift to God. Now, how does this all relate to semen retention? Well, you can think about this, right? Semen retention, people release for some reason. They're releasing because they see an attractive person, right? They're releasing because they're told this is what we need to do to be healthy, or whatever it might be, to be successful, to be pleasure, all that kind of stuff, right? But we're told that this is something we must do. And over the years, we've kind of been brainwashed that this is something we can do, and so now we don't think twice about it. But just like I talk about the blue matrix and the world we live in, most of the world has not been telling us the truth. And this is why God says we don't live in this world. This world is corrupt and evil because they look more at things that are full of the evil one, right? Because they want profit. They rather have you out of the way. They don't want you there. All those things happen because you're basically not the person who is important. They are important. And so because of that, we don't tend to really focus on those material types of things. And it's important to realize that Because as you look at semen retention, for instance, the more you're retaining, the more you're getting away from that material world. What you're doing is you're focusing more on the spiritual world. And that's what I think, people like Malcolm X and other people have said, that they're focusing more on the spiritual world. And this is why you get into the idea of, I don't need to do this. And as I've always said, as you get older and you become more in touch with God, and I think as you get longer on this journey, you realize more importantly that the material things don't matter. You really get more happiness and joyfulness out of the spiritual, the relationship within you and God. And having God, now you have no reason to boast. Now, you could say how great God is, those type of things, certainly, that's a form of boasting. Then maybe I stand corrected a little bit. But I also think that you're not talking about arrogance. Arrogance is different. Arrogance is when you think you're better than other people. Boasting about God is one thing, but boasting about yourself is a whole different thing. And that shows more of an insecurity than a security. And I think this is why we talk about being disciplined and trying to have a disciplined life, self-control, so you can go ahead and do that. And so how do you be disciplined, right? Well, once again, you have to go back to your spiritual. You start there and say, okay, these are the things that God wanted you to do. Now, I follow 10 commandments, so that's one of my basic type of things. And so you go through each day trying to improve. I remember Benjamin Franklin one time did this. He had so many faults, as I do, as everybody does, that you write them all down, right? And you say, okay, I'm going to try to improve this one, this one, and this one, whether it's lying or eating or whatever it might be, right? And so you try to work on these things. And so as you work on these things, you're focusing then on trying to get better with each one of those things. The same thing with the 10 Commandments, the same thing with everything we do. And that's why when we talk about this, we're talking more in terms of focusing on things that are going to make you an excellent person. And it might be spiritual, it might be physical, and it might be intellectual. So get more information, more knowledge if you need it, work out more, get yourself better in that pattern. And the more you form a habit, a lot of discipline comes from repetition and habit, practicing the right things. And the same thing applies, guys, to releasing. The less you're in those situations to release, the more you're practicing good habits instead of bad habits, the better off you are. Get away from that TV set, right? That's going to give you pictures, images. Go to sleep on a regular basis. A lot of people do this stuff late at night, and it just provides negative types of things. And find mechanisms in your head to work on transmutation. For example, you do get excited about something, I like deep breathing method. And then we'll talk about this one another one. I know a few people have suggested that, so I'll talk more about that one another one. But yeah, holding your nose in, out, right? Something like that. So focus on something like that. Those are the types of things you focus on when you end up getting at the point where now you want to transmute. So anytime you're close to this type of thing, focus on the end result. Continuing to focus on God, moving forward, not thinking about all those material things. The more spiritually mature you are, the less you have to even focus on any of those other things we're talking about, including releasing, including sleeping with women, including all those type of things, and those trappings. And I call it trappings, because if you are attracted to a woman, it's like one of the I always refer to that phrase in the Bible, that the gentleman was having an affair with the wife or something, and I think they phrased it something like the lamb being led to the slaughter, right? Because once he went into the bedroom, he was dead, because all of a sudden, the husband and the rest of them came in and shot him with arrows, I believe, if I recall correctly in the passage. But that's what happens. And so it's like a lamb being led to a slaughter, right? You are being led to a slaughter to that woman's bedroom. You have to be careful. Now, and I'm not saying, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying women are wonderful, great mothers, great wives, but there's certain Jezebel women, energy suckers, vampire suckers, that you have to watch out for. In this case, we're talking about Jezebel, women who are having affairs, who are married, that type of stuff. That is a danger you have to get away from. And certainly if you're married, that's a terrible thing. But if you're not married, don't get involved with women who basically are married or basically have it just because they look good. It's an attraction that, in this case, is going to kill you. All right, my friends. Well, thank you for Peaceful Being. Thank you to Jermaine Landra. Thank you, Jermaine. I appreciate that. Once again, a lot of research talks about releasing and health problems when it comes to kidney problems, low testosterone, all those type of things, and you want to avoid that kind of stuff. You want to avoid even getting into that realm because you're living for God. And so, once again, great comments from Peaceful Being and Jermaine. Thank you guys so much for your comments. I really appreciate those, and I apologize for messing your name up with Jermaine. Those type of things are really important, and I think once you're able to realize that life is about a lot more than the physical, then I think you're in better shape. All right, my friends, remember two things. First, every day is a great day to a new warrior. I think I got that back, but that's okay. You got it. And second thing, my friends, remember always to battle on!